Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another episode of Building Returns, hosted by RadioWorks. My name is Jon Strokoe, and my business partner, Roger Burrows, and I founded Source My Property, which is a property development and investment portfolio building firm in the South Wales and now spreading across the Southern England as well. This radio show, Building Returns, is all about the movers and shakers in the global property and real estate industry. And my role here is to showcase those that are doing things differently, doing things better than everybody else. And I really want to share their original flavor and get their message out into the world of property around us. Tonight, well, we have a very special guest. Some people build houses, other people build developments, and well, some people build cities, and some people build eco-cities. And tonight, I have the honor to host Willy David Ekre. Willy, good evening and welcome to our show.
Good evening. Thank you very much, John, for having me on the show. It's a pleasure for me to be here.
Oh, it's fantastic and truly an honor for us to host you this evening. Before we get into the thick of it with the whole property story, can you give our listeners just a brief background on who you are and how you found yourself in the business that you're in now?
Well, I started as a young engineer to the business of development of housing and in the sales and the leading of the building side. And then I continued further on after some few years of teaching in the high school for engineers on the building construction and also using the computer for doing the work on the drawings and construction works.
Okay.
So and then I went into the market of exporting Norwegian houses to Germany, which is exciting in itself. And
Right.
Then after that, I've been in all kind of project leading, building construction, building up new sections in the building industry in Norway for quite a big Norwegian company.
Okay,
So
very
I've been in property development all my life, and that's what I know. And it's so important for me to have something exciting to do in life as well.
No, very interesting. So you've been in property your whole life. You've been in the education side of things. You've been in the development side of things, and you've been growing your expertise through that experience, and which has now culminated into. Do you want to tell our viewers what you're busy with, the exciting program that you're busy with right now?
Well, now I'm busy with planning and building a city in Israel, which is called Davidtown. We call it the Davidtown project. David has a special meaning in life in general, and he was the one who gathered Israel as one kingdom in that time, and he was extending the kingdom. So he was also fighting the Goliath, which is also another, let's call it a synonym to going into building a city of this size, of a city for 100,000 people as a startup. And it can be scaled up and down, and that's the basics of it. And
Sorry, carry on, David, please.
So when we look at the world today, and we see that the world is probably more suffering today than it was 10 years ago, maybe 20 years ago as well. We see that cities are filled with cars. We see that the people are standing in line, they are waiting, and they are wasting a lot of time in their life being in line for going back and forth to work. It's like if you do that like 2 hours a day or 4 hours a day, it's quite a lot. When
Sure.
the day is 24 hours and you're supposed to sleep some of it, and then you're supposed to spend some of time with your family, go to work for some time, and then you waste so much time in traffic. And the other thing is that the cities are getting polluted because of all the traffic. And it's also very energy consuming, all the cities of today. There are a lot of people working with we call smart cities, and that's fabulous because they are transferring or transforming older cities into better cities and reducing the consumption of energy. So we can look at this world and say that, okay, we are talking about the global warming, or we can say that we are talking about a pollution problem. We are talking about a problem, social problem. So I think this is what the whole world is struggling with. So I think it's about time we are thinking outside of the box. And luckily, today, there is a lot of that type of thinking. So the wind is blowing now, and it's a paradigm shift in the way of thinking for the future. We understand, based on all the publicity, all the talk, all the movies made, that it's actually we cannot continue as we've been doing all these years from before. We can try to maintain or to change some of whatever we have in the cities to make them better, and some people are very much struggling with that.
Sorry, my dog's just trying to come in. Apologies. Sorry. Please carry on. We'll be interrupted by the dog. Carry on.
So, and it's about people. So why are we here on this earth? Are we here just to gain for ourselves, or are we here to help each other to have a good life? So through the years, this has been some of my thinking. And since I've been so lucky to see the whole picture of the building industry and see the whole picture of the development being part of all the roles inside of that, I have the ability to see some more whole picture. We call it a holistic picture. So, and I think that to have a holistic approach, which is when you go to the ecosystem is based on running itself. It's based on running by synergies from each other and to have a sustainability. So I think sustainability, ecosystem, and a holistic model all put together. That's what we have to look into when we are planning new cities. So in this world today, we are, well, now around 7 billion people. It's growing. In the next 30, 40 years, it's predicted to be like 9 billion people. It's like 2 billion people more. And if you add, if you take 2 billion people and you say, where are they going to live? So they are going to live in 2,000 new cities of 1 million people.
Correct,
So what do you have to do? You have actually to build new places, new cities in the world. And new places, some cities are like 100,000, some cities are 200,000, some cities a million. So in China, they are building a lot of new cities for millions of people. And I will say that's what's needed in the world. And the question is, how are we going to do it? Are we going to continue as we've been doing all the time? Are we going to continue with all the cars, or are we going to think a new way? So I think that the future will be maybe less cars. Maybe some people don't like me when I say that, because the car producers, they love to produce cars, of course. But we can imagine if everybody's going to have their own car, maybe 2 cars, and everybody's going to drive around with their own car around the world. I mean, it's not that we are populating the whole world today. And when you look at the developed places of the world and the surface of the world, maybe we developed maybe 3-4% of the world in that matter. But on another side, the places we develop is so concentrated and it's so overpolluted in so many ways. And if we are going to sustain on this planet and we are going to continue living a healthy, good social life, I think we need to think differently. Yes, so that's why all this, what's behind it, and then you can ask, why Israel? because Israel has a lot of different challenges in the world as well. How I see it, Israel has a good hot climate. It has a desert area which need to be populated, which is then today covering 1/3 of the total land of Israel, and very little populated. And they have also an expected growth from around 8 to 9 million today till 16 millions by 2048. And that's quite a big growth. On the other side, they are one of the best countries in the world in innovation and technical solutions. And I think for me, it's since Israel, I've been in and out there since 1978. You can calculate it's around 40 years ago, when I came there first time. And I will say, instead of living here in Norway today, which is a beautiful country, but minus 10 degrees, so it's much better to live in the plus degrees, especially when you're not so young anymore. So it's like it's important. But I believe that it's quite central in the world. It's full of innovation, and to build there and to take it to the world from there, I would love to do that. So that's what's behind it.
David, that's honestly a heartfelt and beautiful story. You definitely have the background, the knowledge, coming back a number of years, building up to where you are right now. I genuinely applaud you for your forward-thinking, strategic mindset for the world, for the globe, for humankind and mankind, and for what you're actually doing. I think it's a fantastic story. And when I heard it, first of all, I insisted, obviously, that I got you on the show because it clearly resonates with what the show is all about. It's doing things differently. It's shaking up the world. It's changing the dynamic of what we've actually been doing in the past and how we are actually going to be doing it in the future. Because you're quite right, the population is growing, it is getting more scarce, and we have to do things differently. And you absolutely are busy doing that. So we've talked about the past and obviously a vision, and the reason is because of the vision of the future. Can you tell me from an ecosystem, from a holistic point of view, what you are actually doing in that city? What are you doing differently to build that city so it's different from the others, so that we will have that holistic longevity aspect towards that city? What are we doing different?
Well, first of all, we have to look at everything from ground up. I mean, you have to start with the foundation, the infrastructure, the buildings, energy, the traffic, not at least the traffic, to get the cars out of the city. To give the streets back to people, build it like centers where it's a center in itself, it's sustainable, and it has a short, let's say, short way to work, and you need to come up with new ways of working, and things are changing in the future, and what is the most important is the social aspect, the religious diversity, and all kind of ways of looking into the life of people. Because when you put the people in the center and plan everything around that, instead of putting the profit in the center and planning around that, because how is it in this world? Are we going to share? Are we born equal in general, or are we just grabbing for ourselves? I think it's about mindset. It's about a shift of way of being with each other. So one of the aspects of the city is that it's supposed to be a very positive place to live. And I will say...
How are you going to create that?
How are we going to create it? It's a good question, because it has to be created together. And what we are inviting to is to do things together. When we do things together, then we come up with good ideas. I mean, I'm not a wizard. I cannot do everything alone. So I'm very depending on other people. So then the most important is who is in, who want to be in this type of project, who want to really go on with this type of project. It's people which has a mindset of thinking differently for the future and to know that they would love to do something for mankind, because this project is absolutely about mankind.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree, and I think it's fantastic what you're doing. How far through the stages are you? Are you still in the early phases of developing and designing it, or have you actually cut ground and started building the city?
We are in the early stage, and we are gathering teams, and we are gathering people from around the world to work on it together. So that's the stage we are in, and we are looking for partners and the people who can be part of this and also be part of the development, because I don't have the solutions to everything, and that what I learned through the last couple of years and maybe also before in my life, if you have a good team, then you can do good things. If you are totally alone, you are feeling that you cannot do everything alone. Of course you cannot. That's why it's so important to work together, and that's why it's so important to join forces. In this world today, we're talking about competition. We are competing with each other, and competition is good for one sense, I believe. And I believe that also competition can be made into the way that we can find ways to work together and to make it happen, because when we join forces, that's when we win. And if we work against each other all the time, that's when we lose. So I believe that joining forces, thinking together, thinking positively, and taking away the negative part of our life. It's the most important to manage to go further in life and just not grab for ourselves and just be profitable. I love to live a good life, absolutely. But I think it's the most important is how you feel inside, how you are with other people, how you feel in the social life, and what fulfills you. So we call it sometimes long-term fulfillment and short-term fulfillment. Short-term fulfillment is, I would love to have a new car. Yes, I would love to have a new car. It's so fun with a new car. It's so fun with all these toys. But when you think about it, how fun is it? 2 days, 3 days, maybe a week, and then you say, okay, that was it. And then what now? And then, so I've been looking into that in my life as well, and seeing that what fulfills me more is when I can make other people happy. It fulfills me more when I know that I can do something good for other people. So, and that's what I see. So when we join forces and think, what good can we do, and what is in this world today which we can do better, because that's how we should start our day every day. What can I do today to make this world a better place to be in?
Yeah, correct. Now you mentioned that you are looking for, and you're joining forces, and you're growing your network or your power team of people that are going to put this amazing city together. How do, and this radio show goes out globally, and we have people from all around the world that listen. We've had people on from Canada, South Africa, Australia, Switzerland, UK, Norway, Israel. So where would people get hold of you? What do you have a website or a Facebook page that people could reach out and get hold of you?
You can go to my Facebook page. You can go to my personal Facebook page, Willy David Ekre, which is my personal part. Then you can reach out to me there. But we have a David Town Facebook page. You can go in and you can like that one. Published from
David Town.
Yeah, David Town. It's called, and you can like it. And we publish sometimes a new thing, new way of thinking, and so on. The positive way of thinking there. So it's I need also people to be with us in this project. So if somebody in the beginning would like to volunteer and be part of things and be positive to us and positive to the future and the planning, so that's what we are looking for. And we are looking also for bigger companies which will also pitch in with money for the planning phase, which is important part when you can plan a model, because today you can plan a model virtually and you can make it go and be working. So it's a new way to think. So you can work it all virtually.
I see. One of the questions that keeps on popping up here, so one of the viewers of the show is asking, what is the return on investment for investors? Are we too early, or do we have an idea, or do you have a white paper that could discuss a return on investors for possible investors?
For today, it's too early. We didn't get into that part yet. So because when the return of investment, you can say return of investment is in the building phase. When we start cut the ground, start building, then of course there will be a return of investment.
Okay, so you're beyond conceptual and you're into pretty much the planning phase right now.
Right now we are into the planning phase, yes. And the connection with the government and the connection with the areas and so on, that's what we are working on right now, and into the planning phase. So we didn't go into the return on the investment, but the return on the investment is also divided in two groups. It's a social return of investment, or the social life and the benefits of life in general. I mean, sometimes you cannot measure that in money when people live more healthy life. How much is it worth to you to live a healthy life compared to live a life full of pollution and struggle and stress and so on? So when you today know that stress and heart attacks is actually killing a lot of people in the world because of all this, I will say, pressure in life to succeed, pressure to make it happen, pressure to be the best of your best and all this. But what is it for if you don't live a good life? I mean, what's the point? I mean, you're going to pressure yourself until you are 70 years and then you hope for a couple of years with a good life.
You know, David, you nailed something, and I mentioned this when I was in LA. I'm not sure if you remember it. I touched on it briefly. What you've just mentioned there is exactly what happened to me nearly 3 years ago. I was in a high-flying city job in the city of London, working for investment banks. It was good, but the one day I went to work, had chest pains. A couple of hours later, I was in hospital, and a day or two later, I was diagnosed with chronic heart failure. And as far as I know, I was pretty much all but written off. And that was from exactly what you're talking about: the stress, the pressure, constant striving, for something. But I knew that there was something missing, and that was my big wake-up moment. My big change to actually leave the city and start doing something positive. And as you're talking about, and a holistic approach, and this is what got me into property. And I believe what I'm doing right now, hosting the show in the property investments that I'm involved in as well, is doing the right thing, is taking something that's broken, a broken concept, and fixing it and creating more for mankind. And I genuinely believe that it's a different type of, it's not stress. There's pressure, but it's not stress. And I believe that mixed with an extremely strong and positive mindset that I will be healed has put me to where I am right now. And I'm one of the few people that's pretty much ever come off all my heart medication. I'm all but completely healed because of that mindset, because of exactly what you're talking about right now. A change, that paradigm shift of how we used to do it is broken. How we need to be doing it, where we need to be going with a more holistic and healthy approach towards ourselves and towards mankind is absolutely essential for our longevity. And I'm just one person, but you've encapsulated that in the creation of the city. And it's not just bricks and mortar, it's a mindset movement that's coming with it as well. One of my usual questions at this stage is talks about USP, which is quite a narrow thing to be talking about, but you've nailed it. What is unique about you? What are you doing that's different? Everything about what you are doing is different. The whole mindset shift. It's not just the building, it's more than the building. It's like you say, it's not a return on investment, it's a return to life. It's a life investment. It's a humanity investment that you're making, and it's brilliant. It's amazing. And I know that your mindset is not just one city. I know that's just going to be your template to replicate and roll out around the world. You said how many? 2,000 cities of 1 million people. People that are watching this and that actually grasp and understand what I have and what you are doing, it's amazing. It really is a special story, and that's why I say I'm honored to get it out there. But I suppose the next question is, what are you doing apart from myself, little old me on my radio show? What are you doing about getting this fantastic message out to the world? What are you doing for branding or recognition to make the rest of the world aware of what you're doing? What are you doing?
Well, that's a good question. Now we are working on connecting with the right people and to build the foundation of this model. And then we will reach out through these groups of people which we are connecting to, which is already out there, and then go more global out and publish it more when we have the foundation of it. So then that's what we are doing now. So it will be through the Facebook and eventually also because now we've been working on a personal brand for that matter. But it's also been on the Facebook, maybe that not that much followers, not yet. But I believe that when we are more in the movements of going forward and the planning phase is more essential than it is today, then it will be absolutely going forward and more people will follow us. So the question is, how do you start a movement? You talk to one person and then that person talk to another person and then you talk to another person and then suddenly people get along with it and they understand the point of all this. So what we've been building up now is connections around the world with let's call it advocates of the project, which because you have to address it to make it more substantial. And in that matter, we also connected with people which can pitch in with different type of new inventions and innovations to the world. So it's also important to come up with new things because we can build on whatever we have, but in this process, you have to put things together and you have to put things together differently from before. So that means we need also to search out other people's new inventions and put them together so that they can work with each other in the synergy and to make it more efficient. So let's look at energy.
Are using eco energy, obviously being in the desert, you have the benefits of a lot of sun. Are you going to be using that type of power instead of using dirty fossil fuels? Are you going to be learning using cleaner fuels to power the city?
Absolutely. Of course, sun is given us, it's light. And when you look at light and you look at the sun, it has a lot of energy. And of course, it's today they are getting better and better solar panels, more and more efficient, of course. And you have solar energy, you have some wind energy, some places you have wave energy, and there are other sources of energy. You also have a geothermic energy, which is the heat from the ground. I mean, not 80 meters deep, but 2,000 to 6,000 meters deep. There is a hot area, which is absolutely, it can power a lot in this world today. So there are a lot of new technologies coming up, and there is, I will say, one of the most important is not only how much more energy can you produce, but also how little energy can you use for each and every person. Because I mean, if you look at in the books, if you look in like your bank account and you say, okay, how much more can I earn, or how much less do I need to spend? It's two ways to look at things. And 1 krona or $1 saved is actually very easy money to earn, instead of if you're going to earn and have $1 more, you have to work for $2 more in order, if after paying taxes and all this. So I mean, it's a very, very easy calculation. So you have to think new, use less energy, and also people thinking, okay, it's a hot country, and then you don't need to insulate the same much, but you really do, because that's the key to it. So it's many ways to look at things.
Yeah, that's something that I'm focusing on in some of my developments in South Wales, where heating is a requirement, where it's cooler down there. We don't have the benefits of so much sunshine. Now, there's two things that, for example, we are doing, which is on a much smaller scale to what you're doing, but it's the same mindset. Is one of the properties I was in last week, there was a shortage of light in the top of a stairwell, and the builder's mindset, oh, we just put another light in there, which is more power, more electricity, etc. And on discussion with my business partner, we decided no to the electricity and to put a lighting tube in from the ceiling. So you get natural light, which is free of charge, and the cost to do that would be very similar to putting in an extra lighting cable, etc. So it's just a change in that mindset. Something else we're doing sort of web-based or intelligent heating systems within each of the properties as well, and things that you can control from your mobile phone and that look at things differently. So you're using a hell of a lot less energy for the same amount of heating. So I applaud you for that whole mindset. That whole concept is integral to every single piece of the city that's being put together. It's brilliant. So the question is, okay, we know what we're putting together now. 3 to 5 years time, where do you see yourself then? Where do you see the development then?
Well, then we are in the cut of ground, definitely. So and we are building and started building parts of the city, and the plan and the let's say, call it the goal is to build it by 10 to 12 years. So
okay, no, that's good. And we were talking about a network earlier, and obviously a network is a vital component of your business growth and your requirements. So what are you doing to grow that internal and external network to help this become a reality?
Well, we've been traveling the world, and we've been part of different conferences in the world, and we are getting contacts with the most important people. And of course, it's always about personal contact in the beginning. And as those people are growing and advocating this project to others, then we will grow in amount of people which will support this. So the whole idea and the whole important part is to eventually start a movement, because when you do that, you will get many positive people coming in, and then many more positive people thinking the same thought, it's escalating faster. So, but the important part is the real good people in the world which want to make a change, and there is a lot of them in the world, and there is a lot of them with a good intention, which also has a lot of money for that matter. And of course, it should be also very important to different type of countries of the world to look into the model and see what can we benefit from this model, how can we support it to be built so that we can benefit from it later on in life. So it's connection on governmental levels, it's connection on bilateral levels, And so far we've been concentrating on the United States, Europe, and Israel, and of course Norway. And we are getting more people into it, yes. So we've been using quite a lot of time to build.
Yeah, you're an extremely busy man, crossing continents, driven by this strategy, this mindset that you have, and this vision that you are going to create. So my next question is, how do you balance that manically busy lifestyle with, you're obviously quite a holistic person yourself, how do you get that work-life balance in your own life?
It's a very good question. I'm very lucky. It's me and my wife. I have a daughter which is now making her own life, 27 years old, and she don't need me that much anymore. And it's me and my wife is in this project together with me, so then it's much easier to do things in life as well. So in that matter, I will say maybe I have a unique situation for myself right now, because I got over the stage and I got some experience in life which I can benefit from to make it happen. So it's easier to just travel. It's easier to make things happen easier. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So then I can
see we just had somebody joined in. His name's Matthew Bell. You were talking about underground heating. I know he's looking at some underground heating as an alternate energy source. So another interesting. Yeah, I might actually have to give him a call and get him on the show sometime. So because he's also got a slightly alternative method to be heating some of the cooler homes within the UK. So Matthew Bell, we're going to be coming to find you. Back to you, David. This is really the part of the show where I sort of open it up to yourself. You're looking for different people. You're looking at connecting and engaging on various different levels. What do you want to tell, or what do you want to ask all the viewers of the show? Is there anything that you want or anything that you need?
Well, get me in contact with the big companies who has a lot of money to put into R&D. That's absolutely wanted. People who would like to talk with us and see what we can do together. I know that there are other places in the world. They are looking into ecological cities as well, and the green cities and so on. And so, I mean, there is a lot out there going on today. So we can benefit from working together and find things together, of course. So if anybody have good ideas and good people which have a positive mind, because that's what's needed. It has to have a positive mind, and people who really want to help and to really make things a change, not only for the benefit of the fast earned dollar, to put it that way, but to make it because we need to make a change.
Sure. So you're looking for a collective of not only the technical, knowledgeable, eco-friendly people, holistic mindset people, but you're looking for an entire collective to come together to help manifest this vision of yours at this stage.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Now, David, we're running slightly short on time. So, and I usually finish off with a question where I have to extract some information and try and find the good in people, because I believe there is good in everybody. I believe everybody wants to be doing the right thing. Sometimes people need to be coerced a little bit. You don't need to be coerced. It is everything about you is about the good and doing things ecologically friendly. And I usually close off the show by asking, what are you grateful for? And what are you doing that is ethically correct? I could probably end the show right now because we've been covering that for the last 40 minutes. But I just want to pass it back to you. What are you grateful for, and why are you doing what you're doing?
Well, I am very grateful for my life. I am very grateful for all the experience I have in life. And I'm talking about good and bad experiences. Any experience you have in life is a good experience. And maybe that's very strange to people in general, but we learn from all the things we are going through in life. And I'm very, very grateful for everything I learned in life. I'm very grateful for my family and my background. And I'm so grateful that I have had a fabulous life in general. So I'm very blessed in my life. So that's really what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for all the friends. And I will say that when we met also in LA last November, that's what also I'm very grateful for. I'm grateful for all the people, the fabulous people which I meet on the journey. It's not so much about the quantity all the time, but about the quality. And that's how things grows. When it grows qualitatively, then it's absolutely best. So, and I will say I'm very grateful for the chances I had to travel in the world the last couple of years, and met fabulous people from all continents. So I will say it teaches me a lot in life, because I love different type of nations. I mean, I'm not bound to one nation. I'm bound to the whole world, because we are all human beings on this planet working for the best, and that's what I love about it. And when we work together and we see that we can do some good together, that's what I'm really grateful about.
That's fantastic. It really is. You know, David, that's exactly what the show is all about. Yes, we have the property angle, and we need to feed ourselves so that we can feed others. But that's what you're doing. You're taking a lifetime of experience within the property industry, and you completing that with a vision of enhancing the betterment of mankind for a legacy that you're going to leave behind. I honestly commend you. I thank you for being on the show. I'd like to say to everybody out there in property land, anybody who's looking in that cares about us, that cares about fellow mankind, that cares about the planet, please get hold of David. His websites, etc., are promoted on underneath this video here. I urge you to get in touch. He is doing beautiful and brilliant things for the planet. David, thank you very much for your time this evening. It's been an honor to have you here. And to everybody else out there in property land, please return next week, where I'll be hosting somebody else. David, once again, thank you very much for your time.
I will say thank you, John, for having me on the show, and thank you for what you're doing. I'm very happy.
No problem. Thank you, David. Have a great evening. Cheerio.
Thank you the same. Okay. Bye-bye.